Start. So let me introduce myself. I'm Ritika and I'm working as a Scrum Master and Agile coach for a company called Speechmatics. And today we are going to see an Agile coach toolbox, or if you are starting your journey as an Agile coach or joining a new organization for the transformation, how you can really help that organization transform their Agile journey. Let me just start asking by a question. How many of you here are either Scrum Master or Agile coaches? Cool. And how many of you have ever heard your manager or your senior team come up to you and say, we have this problem and we need solution, fix it? Always. And I think there lies the entire problem, because when people come to you and tell you that we need a solution directly, fix it, at that time they want consultants and not coaches. And there is a very basic difference between consulting and coaching. There are different stances of coaching when it comes to that. You can do like training, you can do mentoring, you can do consulting, and you can do coaching. So basically what's the difference between coaching and consultation is, in consultation, you directly tell the solution because you know the problem very well and you know how you can deal with the problems. In coaching, you try to build in the change agents within the organization, or you ask some questions which lead the organization towards the solution. You ask them proper questions which can help them to lead to the solution rather than directly giving them the solution. And I think in today's world where everything is changing so fast and everyone needs their things done in a quick way and needs continuous improvement, I think if every time we hire a consultant and a coach from outside to help our organization, it will be very time consuming, because they will need time to understand your organization, to understand the problem, and there'll always be a lag in the time until they come to a position where they can help you. But if you are building your own change agents, your own coaches, it will be simpler. It will take time at the first time to bring in that entire change and to build your own change agents, because it is not simple. It will be a time consuming activity, but once it is done and everyone in your organization becomes change agents, it is so simple and you will always be ahead in the industry. You'll always have that advantage which we all have been looking for. So let's just start by how you can start the journey. To start anything, you should first have a goal, otherwise you don't know where you're going. For example, let's consider that the goal of an Agile coach and Scrum Master here is to build high-performance cross-functional teams and to bring in that Agile mindset into the organization. How you can really reach that level is by first understanding the organization's strategy and the vision. Why the organization wants to be Agile, what is their strategy to become Agile, and what competitive edge they are looking for. Because unless and until you guys understand what is their logic behind going Agile, you will never be able to reach to that goal. You will never be able to tell people working in that company and as in why we are going to that place. And until and unless you are being given reasons of why we are doing it, I think none of us shows interest in doing those things. Like if I just ask you to do things, you will be least interested, but if I tell you the benefits and why we are doing it, what is the organization strategy, I think you can have a greater buy-in in the entire process. So first, basically, we should understand why an organization is doing it and what is the vision. Then comes interaction with the other Agile coaches which are already present in the organization, because they might have done certain things which could help you, and you will always come up with fresh eyes. So you can always tell them and look at things which probably they are not looking at because they're too close to the work they have already been doing. Once you understand what they're doing, you can have interactions with the Scrum Masters, product owners and teams, sorry, that's a typo, products and teams, to understand more about what they're looking for and how things can be done. Basically, how all this can be done is observation, and I think that's one of the most important thing as a Scrum Master or Agile coach you need. If you're in your own world, if you're not observing things, if you're not listening to what's going around you, you'll never be able to recognize where the problem is or how you can resolve it. So it's a really important step when you especially enter a new place or you're looking towards that journey. And this is the most difficult thing. We all just get diverted so easy. If I'm talking to you and I listen to someone else talking, I'll always get diverted towards their thing. So it's really important to have that focus listen and observe what is going around us to really solve those problems. And then obviously workshops and feedbacks. Once you have identified what the issues are, you really need to focus on giving the impact feedback and giving feedbacks in a way where they can really, understand why we are doing that change or what can be done in better ways so that I and the organization can benefit out of it, and doing certain workshops with that. And Ellen actually, just before my talk, did a very good workshop with games, where just with games she introduced some agile concepts. So it's really important to know who your audience is and what they really need and how you can imbibe those cultures in them. So these steps can be done in a manner where all this is done in parallel. But the most important things are the tools which will help you to do these things. First and foremost thing is asking powerful question. If one of you come to me and ask me for help and I directly give you the solution, like I have been saying, that is never going to be beneficial for you because you have always been spoon-fed. But if you or any organization come with a question, and being a coach, if I ask powerful questions, as in why you want to do it, what is your next step, what are you thinking to do, how you're going to do it, it's actually building a mindset in that person to think in the direction they want to do, and probably giving them 5 different solutions of how they can reach there. And then as a mentor and coach, you can guide them which one could get better or would work for their solution better. But never just give them the direct answers, always ask the powerful impact questions, as in why, when, and how they are going to do it. Then continuous improvement, obviously, like when you are talking to someone or when you are giving feedbacks or when you are doing improvements, you need to see that how you can do it better, what's the feedback you're getting out of that, or setting milestones. When you're asking powerful questions, when you're setting goals with that person, you need to see how they're improving on every milestone. We always have to keep a track of things, how they are going. We cannot just have a goal set, ask those questions and let that organization and person go through that journey alone. Agile maturity graphs. These are very good thing which we can use and actually see how an organization is maturing over the time. And it is not done by, basically seeing what's the velocity of team or how they're doing with the capacity, no. But if we use this to see how the trust in the company is building, how is the empathy towards people, are the teams becoming dependent, are independent, are they becoming cross-functional, are they self-sufficient, and actually ask the team and organization after every 4, 5, 6 months, whatever suit for that organization, it will really help you to see how the agile journey is going. You should, it's really important to understand where people stand on those firm. How do people trust each other? Do people know each other personally? Are they happy working with each other? Do they really understand what is the meaning of agile? Do they understand how collaboration is important, how giving feedback to each other important? And all these things will only come when they build in that trust within each other. So it's really important to see how an organization is moving towards that, and agile maturity graphs do work in these cases. Then observation, as I have already said earlier, observation is a really important thing. Until and unless you are okay to observe and listen things, you will never get along in that journey. Milestone setting and impact feedback. So how impact feedbacks work is, like if, for example, someone tells me that I'm disturbing them and they're not able to do my work, probably they are telling me that I'm disturbing them and I would never listen to it. Always happens when someone is blaming you for certain thing, you will never listen to it, or you will not try to understand the point of view. But if you tell me that, see, because you are doing this, it is impacting me in this way. Because you're talking in loud voice, I'm not able to concentrate on the work I'm doing. So in that way, you're not blaming the person, but you're telling that what is the impact of that person doing that certain thing on me. So it's always good to give impact feedback to people for them to improve and for them to understand how they are impacting other people or an organization for that matter. And also, I think it will help those particular people or organization to move in the right direction. It's because blame games don't work, and everyone is okay with feedback if you're proving how their activity or their actions are involving you or are impacting you. And then celebration. I think until and unless you celebrate your small success, you prove your things, it will not work. Always celebrate your failures. You just don't have to celebrate your success, but celebrate your failures because they have taught you something and you can improve from there. And all these things, these tools and these steps, they have to be rinsed and repeated. Like you have to keep on doing this. It's not a one-time cycle that you have done it and you're going to get there. You always have to rinse and repeat things and see what is working for you, what is not working for you, what can be improved in these particular steps as well. Also in the background, there are so many things which will go on, like understand value. Always understand what is the value you are bringing in and what is the value which is expected of you. Are you going with the company strategy? Are you giving or are you passing on the same information to the employees? It's always important to have the same value across the organization. So for that, you need to understand the value first. Value new ideas. Go with an open mind. Just don't go that because I'm an agile coach, because I'm Scrum Master, I know the best and you have to do what I'm telling you. Always value new ideas and don't be afraid of trying it. Always encourage, and every organization has a different strategy and a different environment to work on. Listen, observe and solve. As I've been saying throughout, these are like levels of listening. You have to be at the third level of listening and global listening when you're dealing with certain things. So listening, observing and then solving the problems is really important. Understand conflicts. Now this is very interesting point because mostly this is seen as a negative thing, like you have conflicts, team has conflicts, so team is not doing good. But I think we as Agile coach and Scrum Master should encourage conflict, good conflicts, because without conflict there's nothing. If everyone agrees on one thing, we are not doing good. There has to be conflicts, but the conflicts have to be facilitated in a better way and has to be seen that it's not turning into arguments. But healthy conflicts are always good and you should actually encourage people to have healthy conflicts. Continuous improvement, as we have always said, the heart of Agile says it, that you have to keep on improving, you have to collaborate, improve, see the feedback, retrospect and then improve. So continuous improvement is really important. Understand chaos. This is also one thing where people say that if there's chaos, if there's so much sound around the change, we are doing something wrong. But I think we are doing something right if there is talks about what we are changing or what transformation we are trying to bring. We just have to see that we are utilizing the energy in a correct format and we are coming out of that chaos positively. Because if there's no energy and if people are not talking about what you're trying to do, you're failing. People are not recognizing what needs to be done. They're just, either they are too lazy to talk about things or they don't care. And we should never be in the situation where people don't care about what you're doing. So chaos is also a good thing, but we should just come out of it positively. Correct focus. So it's really important to have correct focus, and as like you have a big goal, you cannot just have a focus on the bigger goal without setting milestones and without having correct focus of where you want to move team. And every team or every sector of that organization for that matter might need a different focus. HR department might need something else and finance department might need something else and IT department might need something entirely else. So you cannot go with one strategy and one focus to everyone. You should have different strategies and different set of focus to everything. So you should know where you are focusing and then plan your strategies based on that. Celebration, as I've already said, that it's really important to celebrate, because unless and until we celebrate, we are never going to show what we are doing or learn what we have done. One more very important thing is to generate shared leadership. Unless and until you give authority to everyone, autonomy to everyone to a certain level to do things, we are never going to go towards a similar path. Every one of us wants to do something good, and if we all have buy-in one thing and we share the same goal and we have the shared leadership, I think it will be simpler to reach to a goal rather than just alone trying to go there and asking everyone else to help you, because people always do things which they want to do and which they feel is correct. So it's always good to have a buy-in before you start anything, and therefore, like we always ask teams what they want to do before we just tell them that we are going to follow this. No, because everyone might have different needs. So I think these are the basic things which we can do and which will help any new person who is starting their journey as an agile coach. Very basic things of listening, observing, feedback, and celebrating the things and having the correct focus. Any questions or anything people would like to discuss? Yeah.
You mentioned that conflicts are good.
Yeah.
It means like learning from it. And then you also mentioned we should know how to facilitate it better.
Yeah.
So can you share some way of doing it?
Yeah, for example, if I see, or if I'm running a retrospective for that matter, very simple thing which all of us run, and I see that two people have very different ideas and it is starting to turn into fight, I should know where to jump in and ask one person to stop, or try to ask the people to explain what are their point of view, and the other person to think from their point of view why they are saying it, and to listen, and if you think it's not correct, then say why you think it's not correct. And at that moment, if I stop both the people, I like, you're not speaking, and we should not discuss it in this meeting room, that shows a wrong impression. But rather than that, if we try to say that, okay, you explain your point of view and why you think the other person is not correct, probably it will take the conversation to a other direction or to the next level.
So have you ever observed that it's not turning to meaningful?
Yes, it does, and it is not always going to turn into a meaningful, and that you should know where you have to stop that thing, and probably talk to both of them or one by one on a different basis, and always make sure that you're not reacting to the situation on the spot. Always take the person to a different room, have one-to-one, because it doesn't show good facilitation skill, or it's not good for the person or the entire team to see something like that, and it will never work. I mean, there will be situations where you think that it's not going to resolve, so you have to take certain other steps, and you cannot really resolve that in a room.
Yeah. So I agree with her point, like working with teams really conflicts are easier than the teams who are just sitting back and taking the orders or not saying anything. It's always good because at least if they have courage, that's something missing within the teams. So they have courage, you just need to channelize their courage in the correct form. That's it. Yeah. Otherwise, the people I see in the teams, they have this problem not to speak up. When a technical lead is there or when a senior person, they don't speak. So I always love the conflict. You just need to know how to channelize them.
Thank you. Yeah.
So usually, whenever organization sets onto a transformation journey, right? So I've seen, in most of the cases, either there's the senior leadership is impatient or they are not able to see the results, and they usually come back on the same route, right? So as an agile coach, what do you suggest, how you should handle it?
I think it's really important when you're starting to set the right expectation and to have the courage to say that we are not going to meet it in 6 months or a year. Always set smaller goals and tell that we are not going to reach the entire transformation in a year, but for sure you will be able to make certain differences which you can show them. Probably reduce some waste in upstream, downstream, show that one team is doing good, that people are understanding what Agile is. So set certain small goals to show them that it's working, because on one go you cannot say that our transformation worked. It will never work, and it has never worked for any company. So it's just about setting the expectations and setting the goal as per the organization, and always have that, like I was saying, have the buy-in. You don't set the timeline for them. Let the management come up with the timeline, and everyone will have that timeline, and everyone give the roles and responsibility to the managers to do certain things, because they will also have a part, right? Start with them. If they have something to do with and they know their milestones to reach transformation, it will be simpler to show them how the journey is going. Yeah.
So typically the senior management looks at what is the quantifiable, let's say you start out on a journey, and let's say what at the end of the year you're saying we have done agile transformation. What are some of the quantifiable measures in your experience which you have seen which can be showcased to them? Yes, we have done this, not something which is a general qualitative one, but more like quantitative stuff.
Like where I have worked, I've especially seen the agile maturity graphs working very well, where they take the survey within the team and within the organization, and we can see how we were working before and how we are working now on certain things like self-organizing team, how much trust is there and all those things, and obviously how much predictable you are. That's really important, because all our releases are planned on how predictable our teams are and when our teams are going to finish the work. So how your predictability is increasing. If you're telling that you're going to meet the release timeline, or you're going to release certain products or at this timeline, how many times have it happened that you have actually delivered all of them? So predictability is very good example of showing how things, and also how capacity is increasing. Like in 6 months earlier, you were delivering 40% of work. Now in 6 months, you are actually delivering 70%, which shows that your teams are really understanding the concept and they're delivering more in the, if the product, they're understanding the scope of the product, scope is not being changed, the product is understanding it, product and the delivery team have so much time where they actually talk to each other and understand the product before starting the work. So all these things are measurable, and it can be measured. How predictable is how much you are delivering, how many products are going, how your cycles are improving. So
Happiness index is one of them. You can gauge the happiness index of the employee.
Yeah.
Because that's for employee as well, the agile thing. How happy they are, how balanced are their life, are they stretching at work or not to just do the commitments.
And I think just
That's very important.
adding one more to this, how happy your customers are.
Yeah, customers. Yes.
So customer satisfaction, so which is one of the outcome-based metrics, something which we are tracking, how happy and motivated your customers are, because that is something which will give us more revenue or more work. Right? So that's one way. I have a question in terms of building high-performing teams. You mentioned, right? So again, that is also having a certain journey, right? A team goes through different levels of maturity and stages of transformation. How do you measure this high-performing team, or a team is moving towards high performance?
I mean, how do I personally measure is it? If I think that team doesn't need me all the time, I think they're doing good. They are meeting their commitments, they understand what their sprint goals are, they talk to each other. I don't have to go and tell them to talk to each other. They don't come to me and I'm happy, they don't need me. That's one of my basic things, how I see teams are working good.
Agile maturity model.
Yeah, an agile maturity model anyways helps in that. But personally, if you are an observer, that's how I see things, that even if I'm not there, things are happening, which is good, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I have one question. Like you mentioned that we should celebrate failures.
Yeah.
Can you share some insight, like some examples? Like people never celebrate their failures.
Yeah.
They simply hide their failures.
Yeah, which is,
Failures.
that's why,
Failures.
like
So-
we should. And I think celebrating failures also, retrospectives can be very mere example of this, where you actually talk about what you can improve. You are not hiding away from it. And celebrating failures as in never be shy and never stop doing things, always improve on that. So always ask people what I can do better next time, or how we can make this session, or like even these conferences have retrospectives, right? And there can be failures. Anything is not going to be success at first time, second time, third time. So you should never shy away from this, and you should always learn from those things.
So I think that was the last question of this session, because we are done with the time. Thank you everybody, and
Thank you.
Ritika for the engaging session.
Thank you.
Small token from us.
Thank you so much.